for over 25 years working with injured clients and plaintiff firms, how has your understanding of winning evolved just beyond the numbers on a settlement check?
We are not trying to create wealth. We're really not trying to preserve wealth. We're trying to provide structure, stability, and security for each of these injured victims, so that they can have some dignity in the way that they're living their lives. You know, a huge chunk of their life was taken away.
If you're an aggressive, growth-minded attorney looking to transform your law firm into a thriving business, you're in the right place. Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, the #1 podcast dedicated exclusively to aggressive, growth-minded attorneys. Each episode will deliver actionable strategies and insights to help you attract ideal clients, scale your law firm, and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Josh Konigsberg.
Welcome to the AGM Attorney Podcast, where aggressive, growth-minded attorneys discover proven strategies to transform their law firms into thriving businesses. A special thank you to our sponsor, Law Firm Marketing Pros. They get you more leads, more clients, and more profits. I'm your host, Josh Konigsberg. Let's get aggressive. Welcome to another exciting episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. Super excited today about my guest. It's John, or Jay Scarola. He's a certified structured settlement consultant and founder of Scarola Settlement Consulting. For more than 2 decades, Jay has worked alongside plaintiff attorneys and catastrophic injury clients to design strategic settlement plans that protect, maximize, and structure long-term financial outcomes. He's not just helping attorneys close cases, he's helping them elevate lifetime value they deliver to their clients. Jay is joining us today from the Florida Justice Association John Romano Workhorse Seminar. Jay, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Josh. Happy to be here. I appreciate you inviting me to join you this morning.
So, Jay, you started in the financial services and transitioned into structured settlements early in your career. What pushed you to make that pivot?
I started my professional career actually in the auto industry. Had worked my way into finance and lower level management, and was presented an opportunity in, I guess, late '99 to go over to MetLife. And so I went through MetLife's training program, became a captive agent of MetLife, and through my daily course there, I went to meet with Chris Searcy about possibly working with a portion of their retirement portfolio, and I put on the whole dog and pony show. Brought this whole team down from Connecticut, and the first question he said to me is, "Hey, well, you know, you sell annuities. We send a lot of business to MetLife. Why don't we just send that business to you and help you that way?" And I had no clue what he was talking about, so I started doing a little bit of research, and by late 2000, early 2001. I had found out that MetLife, even though they had one of the largest structured settlement divisions in the industry, would not allow me, a captive agent working for them, access to their product. They said, if that's what you want to do, you got to quit and you got to go figure out how to get appointed on the outside. So I started doing the research, looking into it, and that's really what kind of catapulted me to where I am today.
So for our listeners outside of Florida, who is Chris Searcy?
It's a great question, and I think it's safe to say that most trial attorneys working anywhere in the United States know the name Chris Searcy. They know the law firm Searcy, Denny, Scarola, Barnhart, and Shipley. Chris is somebody I've known nearly all of my life. He's been a law partner of my father's since the late 70s. So he is one of the most revered trial lawyers in the country. So Chris is an outstanding trial lawyer, and he's been a huge influence in my life, and he's been a huge part of why I've been able to realize the success that I have.
That's great. How fortunate and how blessed. So for over 25 years working with injured clients and plaintiff firms, how has your understanding of winning evolved just beyond the numbers on a settlement check?
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the numbers, and the reason being is I don't care if you're calling me to work on a case, for $25,000 involving a minor child, or 25 million or $100 million involving a catastrophically injured individual. I try the approach that I've taken for the last 25 years is really providing information. I give all of my clients the same information, regardless of the size or severity of their case, so that they can ultimately make an informed decision. And sometimes my products and services don't make sense, and I'm the first one to tell them that they don't make sense. So rather than focusing on the numbers, I try to focus on the individual clients. I try to focus on those individual clients' needs and provide them with the information necessary to make the best, most informed decision for themselves. Now, if I think they're making a poor decision through my experience, I'll certainly share that with them, and it doesn't always go over great. But I try my best to be an honest person, and through that honesty, I give them my honest, sincere advice.
Integrity is what it's all about. That's fantastic. So, Jay, for our listeners out there who are not PI attorneys, can you kind of dumb down what a structured settlement is?
A structured settlement, I look at what a structured settlement is slightly different than other consultants in our space. To me, a structured settlement is a balanced settlement that makes sense and provides the solutions that an injured client needs. And in some instances, that can be as simple as creating a basic income stream that maybe is going to pay for a child to go to college. Maybe it's going to have some kickers at different points to at 23, 25, 30, 35 years old, to help give these young people, young adults, a leg up in life. But we go a little bit deeper than that. And for me, a structured settlement is looking at the whole big picture. It may not just be income that this person or this family needs. They may need to protect benefits. They may need to protect Medicare, Medicaid. There may be lien issues that need to be addressed. So they may not need fixed guaranteed income. They may have more of a growth perspective that they're looking at, and they may want to have more flexibility. So I try to include and involve financial planners. I try to bring in different trust companies to provide the solutions that each individual person needs. And on any given case, we may be working with somebody who's going to help us with a Medicare set aside to protect future Medicare benefits. We may be working with a trust company to protect Medicaid benefits, a financial advisor who's going to be managing the assets inside of that trust. And then we may have a structured settlement annuity that's paying into the trust as well, providing the trust with the routine income that it needs to take care of the normal monthly maintenance for, again, that person or that family. So it's a very complex planning type of approach.
So if I can paraphrase very simply, it is you create a comprehensive financial plan from the settlement so that the money isn't wasted, and it's also properly positioned to take advantage of various benefits in the future and or benefactors.
Spot on. That's what we try to accomplish on every case.
Jay, you mentioned that you got into the business 25 years ago. Nationwide, there were only 600 certified settlement consultants at that time. That number is now over 1,000 brokers. It would appear to me that one of the biggest challenges is awareness for both plaintiffs and for the attorneys. So how do you overcome that?
Well, the plaintiffs themselves are, they're exposed to different financial products, different folks in the financial services industry almost on a daily basis. You see it all over TV, you see it all over print advertisement, all over social media advertisement and everything else. But very few individuals are exposed to, are put into a position where they're receiving monies from a personal injury settlement. And those monies are very different than legacy money that you may be leaving to your children someday, or I may leave, hopefully, God willing, I leave to my children someday. You know, my our children have the ability to earn. Oftentimes, we're working with individuals who no longer have the ability to earn, which means that their ability to accept risk in their financial world no longer exists. I have clients, I work with clients every day who, in order to survive, need $50,000, $75,000 a month to pay for their caregivers, to pay for the equipment that they need, to pay for the therapies, the medications, all of those things. And they need that no matter what. They need that every single month, whether the market's up or whether the market's down. So we try to put plans in place that allow them and afford them the ability to know that no matter what, you're never going to be broke for more than 30 days. Okay, you're getting a check every month. We're guaranteeing that the income that you need coming in is going to be there, and hopefully, hopefully the case is resolved for an amount that allows them not only to have the income needs taken care of, but they deserve to have some wants and other needs taken care of as well. So
it's so funny, the public perception of personal injury attorneys and what the reality is, right? Injured people need to be compensated. That's what the system's all about, right? So
correct.
So you're providing a tremendous service to the consuming public. They just don't necessarily know about you.
Just to add on to the back end of that, and the point that I was trying to make, that I think I may have got, a butterfly flew by, so I got a little bit distracted. But the point I was trying to make is very few financial professionals, they can have some dignity in the way that they're living their lives. A huge chunk of their life was taken away. Maybe they lost a leg. Maybe they've become a paraplegic or a quadriplegic. And that in and of itself is very difficult to deal with. And if you have to worry about your finances on top of that, it can really beat you down. So we want to take that financial pressure off of our clients.
So many attorneys focus intensely on the litigation strategy, and that makes sense. But what happens, or sometimes happens, is they focus far less on what happens after the settlement, right? So what are the hidden risks attorneys overlook once the case is closed?
There are definitely attorneys out there who take the approach, I close the case, it's your money, go figure it out. And it's going to happen in every industry. I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed that the attorneys that I've been able to work with over the last 25 years genuinely care about their clients. And the attorneys who genuinely care about their clients are involving a settlement planner like myself, not just a structure guy or an annuity guy. They're bringing in a team, somebody who can help quarterback a team of people to provide the solutions that their clients need. Now, look, once the attorney gets that case resolved, they're not getting paid any more money. They know what they're getting paid, so they need to be able to move on. We try to do the best job we can on the back end, taking as much of that pressure off of the attorney's team so that they can move on to that next case. And we drive the settlement process knowing that we want to give them the information. Some attorneys want to stay involved. Other attorneys want to be a little bit disconnected, and that's okay. But we try to drive and control that process on the back end so that they don't have to worry about it. And it's taken 25 years to earn that trust. To know that when the attorney calls me and they engage my team, that they don't have to worry that we're not going to do the right thing. I get attorneys all the time get mad at me because I tell them, hey, look, I think the best thing your client can do is take their cash, go pay off their bad debt, go pay off their student loans, get rid of those credit card debts. They don't have a vehicle to drive. They're taking a bus. They're living in a house that has a leaky roof and the landlord won't fix it. They need to improve their living situation. So, this is life-altering money because they're going to go spend the money. And as long as they spend this money on the right things, like we talk about, they get a unique opportunity to hit the reset button. Yeah. And the older we get, the more debt we that we accumulate. Hitting that reset button gets harder and harder and harder. But now they get to hit that reset button and hopefully make better choices moving forward. So sometimes, the best advice is telling somebody to do what, doesn't make any of us any extra money. And that's okay. I don't mind doing that. Like I said, I like to give them the best, cleanest, honest advice I can.
So what are the most common financial mistakes that you've seen plaintiffs make after receiving the settlement? And how can attorneys build systems that proactively prevent those negative outcomes?
You're always going to have situations where there are outside influences pulling and guiding and directing the clients. The clients don't like to talk about those outside influences. They don't, you ask them up front, who are the decision makers? Who are the people that you want to consult with? And oftentimes they don't want to share that information with you. Or they tell you, no, I'm the decision maker. Nobody else is giving me any advice. But then you get a phone call, or you start to see things where you recognize somebody else is behind the scenes whispering in their ears. So the biggest mistakes that I've seen over the years are people getting bad advice from loved ones, family members, friends of family members, who, again, don't have any experience in this space. And, if you're talking to a financial planner who has never dealt with a catastrophically injured person receiving money from a settlement, and they don't know what options exist, they don't know how to properly protect public benefits, and they're accepting advice from these people, and they trust them because they're familiar with them. Timmy next door said the worst thing you can do is go buy an annuity, but what they don't know is a structured settlement annuity provides fixed, guaranteed, tax-free income that can never be taken away. They don't know. So when you don't know something, you sell against it, you talk against it, you talk bad about it. And, so those are the biggest mistakes I think that I see made. And, oftentimes we can correct the thinking if we can dig out who that person is that's whispering in your ear and bring them to the forefront of the conversation, we can clear things up. But then sometimes what happens is once we get it cleared up, they don't like being told that they were giving bad advice, or being alluded to that they were giving bad advice. So then they go seek out somebody else, and that's okay, as long as in the end they do the right thing. To me, that's what matters the most. I don't have to work with every single client on every single case. There's a lot of people like me out there who do the right thing, and as long as they find somebody that they're comfortable working with, we don't all have personalities that jive with one another.
That's right. Right. So it's a good segue into my next question, is that you've worked with families during some of the most difficult moments of their lives. So how has that shaped your leadership style and the way that you build trust?
You have to really look at who I am and where I come from. I grew up, as I alluded to earlier, I grew up in a household with a father who's been a trial lawyer for as long as I can remember. He started off as a prosecutor in Palm Beach County, and that lasted for the very early years of my life, and then transitioned into trial work. So I'm very jaded. I believe the defense is the bad guy. We had family dinner every night growing up. We had a very, very close family. Dad would call mom, tell her he's on his way home from work. Do you need me to stop for milk or anything? No cell phones existed back then. So you get that phone call, and then dad shows up. When dad walks in the door, everybody sits down for dinner. We have our family conversations, which oftentimes included dad telling us what he worked on that day and talking about his cases and asking us for our opinions. And then once dinner was done, the kids cleaned, the five of us cleaned the table off and got everything wiped down and did the dishes. And the kitchen table then became dad's office until long after we all went to bed. So I am very compassionate and passionate about the clients that I work with. And I think when they see that through conversation, when they see that I genuinely care, that really makes a big difference, and that I think sets me apart. I mean, I have clients who I worked with years ago, who I have gone house shopping with, who I've helped put up hurricane shutters with, who every time they need a new car, they call me. And so my role isn't just to get you through this settlement. I will be whatever you need me to be.
Wow.
moving forward. And it doesn't happen with every client. It's not I don't have 1,000 people calling me every week saying, hey, can you take me car shopping? But if it's something that you need help with, if you need help being connected with a mortgage broker, or any really whatever it is that you need, if you call me, I'm going to help you find a solution, no matter what, no matter when.
That's good stuff, man. Really, really, I love it. So what are some of the personal challenges that you faced in building this tremendous career, and what mindset shift really helped you move to the level that you're at?
I am not an aggressive salesperson. I mentioned I started off in the car business. When I was in the car business, I sold cars by talking to people. When I transitioned to being a captive agent with MetLife, I sold life insurance by talking to people and trying to identify a need. I've taken a lot of what I've learned from both of those industries and carried them over into the structured settlement space. And I try to listen to you. I try to understand. The first question I ask a client is, what do you want these monies to do for you? How do you want these monies to create value for you and for your family? And then I listen. And that kind of puts them at ease, because I'm not shoving premium down their throat. I back into premium. Here, based on the information you've told me, based on what we identify as your future needs, this would be my recommendation. And here's why. These are the products that these are the people I think we need to incorporate here. This is the team I think we need to build. And this is how I see meeting your wants, wishes, and goals. So
genuine and authentic. I love that. So can you share a story where your early planning changed the client's long-term financial outcome without mentioning names?
That I review life care plans, which really talk about what the future medical needs are of an individual. And by meeting early, by getting involved before mediation, we can help the attorneys understand where they really need to be from a value standpoint. By looking at benefits, we understand what we may need to do. Do we need to have a protection trust? Do we need to have a special needs trust to protect Medicaid? Do we need to have a Medicare set-aside allocation performed? And by working through all of that on the front end, it really allows the clients to see and accept that we are part of their team, that we are tools, that are here for them to use. I've got one that I'm working on right now where we've got I've had a couple of Zoom meetings over the last couple of weeks, meeting with the children of an injured mom, and just really help. And they're successful professionals, and their goal is to make sure that mom is taken care of. And we're slowly building the team. We're talking about potential solutions and where those solutions fit in the overall picture. We're talking, we're bringing in everybody that they need, so that when the case resolves, now the attorney clearly knows kind of what his target is, and are we in a reasonable realm or are we not, based on the facts of the case? Where do we maybe need to scale back a little bit? But by having those conversations early, look, in a perfect world, the defense is going to pay all of the money on every single case, and we can do exactly what every client needs. We don't live in that world. we do have to make sacrifices, and we have to identify where it makes the most sense to make those sacrifices. Everybody wants a G-Wagon, but a $250,000 G-Wagon isn't always the right solution. In some cases it is,
Yeah.
but it's not always.
So in terms of emerging trends, are you seeing a shift in how sophisticated plaintiff firms approach settlement strategy compared to, say, 10 or 15 years ago? Like, what are some of the top firms doing today that the average firms still seem to overlook?
A lot of it may be, getting you involved early, but really the shift is happening more on the industry side than on my industry side, I think, than on the attorney side. I mean, the sophisticated attorneys are going to continue to work their cases, involve the right people. They recognize that there's a lot of needs, and the good thing about the legal community, especially in Florida, is it's very close. They communicate with one another. The attorneys do a lot, and behind the scenes, they're asking questions. My business, my practice has grown dramatically because of word of mouth referrals. Again, like I said, I'm not banging on your door begging you for cases. I'm befriending you. You're recognizing that I have a passion and a compassion for the clients, and they may, I've got law firms that I've been talking to very loosely for 20 plus years who are finally starting, something's happened. There's been a shift somewhere, and I'm finally starting to get those calls. So the bigger influence really is on the industry side and change happening inside of the structured settlement industry. We've got boutique insurance companies who are being founded and formed for the sole purpose of providing solutions in our space. The solutions in our space are changing a little bit. Even the mainstream life companies are recognizing that they need to do things a little bit different other than our traditional fixed guaranteed product. The traditional product is great right now because interest rates have been great. We can, the returns are better than they've been since the early 2000s. But then when those interest rates eventually go back down, which they will, we've got index products that are coming up. We've got market-based products. So it's really recognizing, and you asked about the sophisticated clients, the sophisticated investors, the people who already have their financial teams that they're working with, who ordinarily wouldn't want to speak with somebody like me, when they take a step back for just a moment and give us the opportunity to explain to them what's available in the space. There's a lot of products that have been made available for those more sophisticated people, for the more sophisticated attorneys, attorneys have the ability to defer any portion of the contingent fees that they're receiving on personal injury cases. And they've never liked the traditional product because it doesn't perform the way their investment accounts are performing. It provides them with tax deferral, but the growth that they're seeing isn't what they want, because everybody wants double digit returns. So a lot of these products were developed with those attorney fee structures in mind, but they apply, they carry over to the injury victims and the injury victims' families. So it's recognizing and knowing what you can talk about, when you can talk about it, and who you can talk about it to.
So last question is, what final piece of advice would you give or share with attorneys who want to aggressively grow their firm while creating long-term impact for their clients, and not just strong case results?
Talk to a settlement consultant. Learn about fee deferrals. Learn how you can build cash flow in bad years following good years. And the earlier you start to defer fees, the better off I think you're going to be in the long term, especially with some of the new products that we have. If you want the ability to have more aggressive growth in the future than what a traditional product is offering. There's a lot of things that we can explore in that arena, but again, creating that future cash flow, you're really doing it with monies that you're currently paying in taxes. You can redirect some of your monies to fee deferrals, and it doesn't have to be huge amounts. I mean, attorneys can defer as little as $50,000, which, one single $25,000 deferral isn't going to be life changing or anything in the future, but when you start adding them up over time, it amounts to be a whole lot.
So that's really, really good advice. It's now time to move on to my favorite part of the podcast, Jay, and I call it the lightning round, where I ask you a series of questions, just whatever pops into your mind. This is where people get to know, like, and trust you better. We all like to do business with people we know, like, and trust, and I really appreciate how authentic you've been today. So this should really be a breeze for you. So, Jay, what never fails to make you laugh?
Streaking through the quad. Any time Old School is on TV, it drives Melissa nuts. Melissa, for those of you who don't know, is my amazing wife. You can't help but laugh.
That's so funny. So, what's the best compliment you ever got?
My dad is clearly my hero. I mean, I have looked up to him my entire life. Growing up, I always wanted to work with my dad. Not necessarily for my father. And my entrance into the structured settlement space has given me the opportunity to work with Dad on many occasions over the last 25 years. But the best compliment that I can receive, and it's happened on numerous occasions over the years, is an attorney picking up the phone randomly and calling my dad or sending him a note saying, "Hey, I had the opportunity to work with Jay the other day, recently on a case, and you should be really proud of him." And I'm in my 50s now. I know my hair color doesn't look it, but even to this day, there's no better compliment than I can get than knowing than that, and knowing how it makes him feel. So
what a blessing. That's amazing. So is there a person that you trade places with for a day? Anyone throughout history?
Well, this is going to be one of those snippets that I think we're going to need to cut out. And, I thought about this a little bit, and that person would be my brother David Scarola. And it's going to blow him away if he hears this. And the reason being is my brother and I are, pretty safe to say, polar opposites. He is a free spirit. He's free loving. He's an artist. He's a photographer. But my brother has the ability to just kind of laugh through life and nothing, not let anything hit him hard. He's got that free loving, carefree attitude where I am very, very strict. I am very regimented. I like things a certain way and I don't deviate. And so to be able to spend the day just not sweating the small stuff, like David does, and I always tell him, look, I would probably be a better person if I had a lot more of you in my life. But my personality kind of keeps that away. So it's
so that's a great answer. I absolutely love it. But it's your journey and that's his journey. And so, if you were more like him, you might not be as successful as you are, and your family might not be in the place that they are, right? So that's how you look at it. So
absolutely.
You can always go on vacation with him. What is your guilty pleasure?
I'd have to say probably ice cream.
Okay.
And maybe ice cream with a little vanilla ice cream with a Oreo cookie freshly chopped up in it.
Okay, all right.
Double stuff, of course.
What was that?
Double stuffed Oreo, of course.
Yeah, right. Of course. Right. What is the best gift that you have ever given someone?
I mentioned my wife Melissa a few moments ago. I would say the best gift that I ever gave was last May, we celebrated our 30th anniversary, and I surprised her with a proposal and a vow renewal where we had close to 100 of our closest family and friends there, and the pure joy that I created. And ironically enough, 2 days before, she decided to fall off of her horse and break a couple of ribs and do some other things. So, as I've spent months preparing this great surprise, I'm hit with that, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And we stayed the course, and I proposed to her at a restaurant the night before, and then the next day, I had her friends ready to take her to the spa and do her hair and the clothes, and everything was set up, and I felt like I pulled off a miracle. So
Love it.
Yeah, the fact that I was able to plan something like this with so many people and her not know. So
it's a great story. So what is the worst piece of advice you ever got?
Don't get into the structured settlement business.
Yeah. Sounds like it's pretty bad advice, right?
It was. I was at Met, and I had met with a gentleman at the time who I looked up to, but advised me. He was in the space, and my getting into the space, I think at the time he recognized would kind of change his course, because the primary target that I wanted was my dad's law firm, was the Cersei Denny Scarola law firm, and he was at the time he was doing their business, and he was the founder. He was one of the first plaintiff only settlement consultants east of the Mississippi at the time, and so he'd say, you stay where you're at, stay doing what you're doing, and I'll send you some. I'll find a way to send you some business from time to time and help you out. But you shouldn't. It's a tough world. You shouldn't get into this industry. Yeah, right. So
okay, all right. So he's CYA, right? That's what he's doing. What is the one thing that you wish you were better dealing with? And you kind of answered that question about your brother, but maybe there's a different answer.
Yeah, it's really patience. Like I said, I'm a very regimented person, and my kids will tell you I don't have the greatest patience, but what you see is what you get also. Right. And they when they need somebody in the foxhole with them, they know to pick up the phone and call Dad, even though it's not going to be a quick and easy conversation. But at the end, they know that nobody has their back. Obviously more than me, and sharing. I am not a good sharer. I grew up in a family of five, and my younger brother, who I talked about a minute ago, my kids know, don't come ask me to borrow something, because if it doesn't come back better than what you took it, you're not going to hear the end of it. So if I was better at patience and sharing, I would probably help me out a little bit.
So what was your favorite childhood movie?
Probably the original Rocky.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Loved Rocky.
Well, you're talking to a Philly guy, so. Tell us something that most people don't know about you.
1994, I was working as a heavy-duty tow truck operator for, at the time, a company. Actually, I don't remember if it was Murphy's Towing or if they'd already transited. Actually, it was still Murphy's Towing at the time. Harold Murphy, who was a second father to me. God rest his soul. I love that man to death, and I credit him really with saving my life when I was moving down the wrong path in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. But 1994, I had decided that I wanted to be a Marine. And I had gone through, taken all the tests, done everything, and all I had left to do was go down to Miami and at the MEPS center down there and swear in. And I went down the first Friday and sat there all day and did all of my physical stuff. And they said, "All right, you're ready. We'll call you in. You'll be in the next group to come in." And spent the whole day there. And they said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we never got to you, but come back next Friday and we'll swear you in then." Went back down there on the second Friday. Same thing. Spent the entire day just sitting in the lobby, waiting. Nobody could tell me what was going on, why I wasn't getting called. And that day came and went. Said, we've got everything sorted out. Not really sure what the issue was, but come back again next week and we'll take care of you. So Showed back up the third Friday and went in, sat there till about 11:30, and I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. So I walked into the office and I said, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for your time, but if you're messing and you're going to mess with me this much before you own me, I am terrified to know how bad you're going to mess with me once you do own me. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm out. And I turned around and I walked out. That was late 2004, probably November, December. I met my wife January 22nd, 1995. So, met her January 22nd, 95, married her May 6th, 95. So, yeah, huge defining point, turning point in my life. And, who knows where I'd be had I stayed there that third Friday.
It's a great story. That's fantastic. So, it's funny. I have a saying, I'm sure you've heard it. We plan and God laughs, right?
Yeah,
so,
clearly.
Right. So before we wrap up today, and for those attorneys who want to explore more about how structured settlement planning can elevate their client outcomes, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and to learn more? And just so we're clear, you can help clients, injured people all over the country. It's not just Florida.
Anywhere. I think I'm licensed in over 20 states. If I need to get licensed in another state, it's very simple. It's just a matter of submitting a quick. We have a licensing department who handles that, and it's a matter of a day. So as far as that goes, but no, in order to get in touch with me, very easy. I use one phone. It's my cell phone. It's with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't necessarily answer it 24/7, but I don't let your calls go to waste. So my cell number is 561-629-4992, and my email address is my name, the letter J, Scarola, sagesettlements.com, or you can go to settlewithj.com, which is my website, and you can get to me that way as well. And then we're all over social media.
Mm-hmm. Settlewithj.com. So, no spam callers, please.
Yeah. Lord knows we get enough of those.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, Jay, it's been tremendous to get to know you better today. This has been a great experience for me and for our listeners. But that's a wrap for now. Thanks again for sharing your story with us and the great things you're doing over at Scarola Settlement Funding. So,
Josh, I can't thank you and the AGM team enough for inviting me to come on this morning and share a little bit about me with you and with your audience. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
That's great. Thanks. And that's a wrap for now. So until next time, this is Josh Konigsberg signing off at the AGM Attorney Podcast.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the AGM Attorney Podcast. Now it's time to put these strategies into action and accelerate your growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time.